boy, chapter 3! The three of us relocated from our makeshift campsite in the Senju Inn and made off for Aizu by sunrise to reunite with the Shinsengumi. We overheard rumors in the inn of Hijikata-san working with the Denshu company to bolster the army of shogunate sympathizers still flying their banners. The collective of shogun loyalists made a daring attempt to lay siege at Utsunomiya Castle, but they were quickly outdone by the standing imperial troops. Afterwards, the shogunate troops, including Hijikata-san, fled for Nikko to regather themselves. Keeping all of this in mind, we stayed out of range of Utsunomiya Castle and headed straight for Nikko. Avoiding imperial troops was proving to be an exercise in futility, however, as there were several imperial encampments between Senju and Nikko. Thus, we had chosen to move only at dusk to hide ourselves in the safety of darkness. The three may have been a crowd, but at least we were safe. Or so we thought. By the time we had reached the outskirts of Nikko, a platoon spotted us. Ah, fuck. You guys, we can argue later. Just keep running! With Imperial soldiers hot in pursuit, we sped out of there in a panic, dashing into a nearby thicket. Souma was still on high alert, keeping his guard raised as he peered into a gathering of bushes. Eventually, I saw it too. A luminous pair of red eyes, flashing spookily in the darkness. As they walked closer, we saw the figure to whom the crimson eyes had belonged. Is that a Fury? The two swordsmen unleashed their swords from their sheaths and eagerly charged at the lone Fury. They took turns flailing their blades at the Fury, but it absorbed each of their swords without flinching. Before Souma had the chance to transform, oh, there's only a couple of people that could be. The Fury shrieked in pain, gurgling blood as its body slammed against the floor of the forest. The ground, damn it! A swordsman appeared from behind it, his blade gleaming underneath the dazzling moonlight. Why are you here? Okita?
誰かが羅刹と戦っていると思ったら君たちだったんだ。
What are you doing here, Okita? How has your condition been?
そんなことはどうでもいいよ。土方さんはどこ？
That's your priority. Alright, I know.
実は俺たちも土方副長を追っている途中なんです。
ふん、そうなんだ。相変わらず逃げ足が速いんだね。それより近藤さんの故障だった君たちがどうしてここにいるの？
沖田さん、実は近藤局長は新政府軍に捕らえられて。
As soon as Norma tried breaking the news to Okita, Okita began barking back at him indignantly.
それは知ってるよ。だから近藤さんを見捨てた土方さんや君たちが何をしてたのかって。
Yeah.
俺たちだって局長を逃がそうと努力したんですよ。でも局長はあそこに残るって、俺たちに副長の元に行けって。
俺たちは近藤局長からこの刀を土方副長に届けてくれと頼まれました。今はその任務を遂行している途中なんです。
Souma reached the sword over to Okita, who snatched it coldly before examining it. His eyes moved from its hilt to the tip of its blade, and he squinted at the ornate etchings.
井上新海、近藤さんがこれを。
はい。新選組の再起のための誠を改める刀だと。
そうなんだ。近藤さんがこれを土方さんに。
Okita muttered under his breath scathingly. As he handed it back to Souma, Okita immediately kneeled over and began coughing violently. Okita reflexively brought his fist to his mouth as he covered his cough, spewing blood onto his hand before it continued dribbling to the ground. Okita! You're coughing up blood. Please, you must take a seat.
そんな暇はないみたい。君たちは逃げた方がいいんじゃないかな。
As Okita tilted his head up, we followed the direction to where his eyes had been pointing. Oh, God! A pose of vicious, salivating furies crept towards us, and my chest tightened in fear.
羅刹星、いつの間に。
俺が羅刹になって時間を稼ぎます。その間に皆さんは。
何言ってるのさ。君たちの腕じゃ倒せるものも倒せないでしょ。組長の腕を。
Okita, you're not fit either! You're in no condition to fight, Okita!
無理かどうか。その目で。
Blood trickled from the side of Okita's lips. It spread its feet out wide, hacking up a lung while continuing to spit blood out of its mouth. One of the Furies sprinted out of formation, raising its sharp nails towards Okita. Okita! Run! In a blink of an eye, some of the Furies were ripped asunder, blood splattering in thick bursts from what used to be their abdomens. Appearing from behind the dismembered remains was...
千鶴？それに相馬と野村。お前掃除か。
The good boy has arrived!
羅刹を追っかけてたのになんでお前たちがここにいるんだよ。
平助!
なんだ平助か。邪魔しないでよ。僕がやるつもりだったの。
1 second, hold on. There we go. We're fine.
相変わらずだな。そんなボロボロのくせしやがって礼もないのかよ。東堂さんがいるってことは副長は近くにいるんですよね。
俺たち土方副長を追って日光まで来たところだったんです。敵に見つかったところを偶然沖田さんに助けてもらって。
そうだったのか。残念だけど土方さんはもう日光にはいねえ。会津に向かったよ。
What?
おい掃除、なんだってそんな体でここまで来たんだ。
相変わらず平助の声はうるさいって。どうやらそんな暇はないみたいだね。
そうらしいな。
Hiske nodded resolutely, and both of them put their backs together with their swords raised. Pairs of scarlet eyes darted every nook and cranny of the forest, sending a shiver down my spine.
相馬、野村、千鶴を連れて早く土方さんのところへ行け。
そんな、俺も戦います。
俺も戦いますよ。
バカ、お前たちの腕じゃ足手まといなんだよ。俺たちの腕を信じてねえのか。
それとも組長の命令が聞けないのかな。
The wrath of two annoyed get captains. Mm-hmm.
わかりました。
But Okita,
心配すんなって。掃除には俺がついてるから大丈夫。必ず後で追いつくよ。
that better be true, Heisuke, I swear to God.
相馬くん、その刀必ず土方さんに渡していいね。
はい、必ず届けます。
Okita, Heisuke, we'll be waiting for you in Aizu.
相馬、野村、後のことは頼んだぜ。
土方さんには僕が行くまで、よろしくって。
わかりました。ご分を。
All three of us broke into a panicked sprint. Without speaking or looking over our shoulders, we wove through the rows of trees. Behind us, blood-curdling screams cried out, and I winced as I listened to chunks of flesh being sliced apart by steel until we ran out of range. Ah, not this music. September 1868. My legs were sore from my toes to my calves, and after days of arduous trekking over tough terrain, we arrived in Aizu to reunite with the Shinsengumi.
土方副長はもう仙台へ立った後でしたか。
そうだ。一足違いだったな。
Once more, Souma nibbled on his lower lip. He was clearly frustrated. All of us were, really. It felt like we had wasted so much time. We encountered Okita and Heisuke, who saved us from a pack of furies on our way here.
あんたたちは宗司と平助に会ったのか。
My news visibly struck an emotional nerve with Saito, whose eyes dropped to the floor, the ground. From what we'd heard, Aizu was being ravished by constant battling. So, why are you still here, Saito? Saito was one of Hijikata's most devoted and hardworking understudies. It made it all the more surprising that he hadn't chosen to accompany Hijikata-san on his way to Sendai.
副長たちは会津と共闘してくださるよう仙台藩を説得に向かっている。その間時間を稼がねばならぬと思ってな。何より体温ある会津港を見捨てることなどできるはずがない。
A fiery conviction burned in Saito's blue eyes. I saw in his the same glint as Kondo-san and Harada's. Moments before we parted ways, before I knew their lives were forfeit.
雪村、相馬、野村、あんたたちは局長の友をしていたと聞いているが。
Without missing a beat, Souma shut his eyes. Sight within his eyes curiously to this gesture.
申し訳ありません。力及ばず、局長をお守りすることができませんでした。
そうか。
For the briefest of seconds, a melancholy twinkle shined in the corner of Saito's bright eyes. He immediately caught on to this moment of sentimentality and composed himself hastily.
その話は副長に一刻も早くお伝えせねばなるまい。あんたたちは明朝ここを立て、明日には新政府軍との戦が始まる。
ちょっと待ってくださいよ。俺たちも戦いますって。会津の殿様に恩があるのは俺たちだって同じだし。
Before Nomura could finish, however, Saito shot a contemptuous glare at Nomura, faster than an arrow released from a longbow.
あんたの気概は会津公の恩ために命を捨てるほどのものか。
当たり前じゃないですか。俺は新選組大使なんですから。
ここは会津を父と定めた者が戦う場所だ。新選組は誠の旗は武士の道しるべ。その旗を背負うのはまだ早い。己の道しるべを見つけるため副長のもとへ行け。
己の道しるべ。
Souma repeated Saito's words, which struck me as a sign that they had resonated strongly with him. After their conversation had ended, I observed Souma taking a stroll that led him outside of the Aizu camp's enclosure. Curiosity got the better of me, so I followed him. I feared that he had fallen into another malaise?